So all across social media, I hear these conversations. I see these conversations about marrying other races, interracial marriage. Seems to be the answer because we can't get along with each other. Maybe we should just marry someone who doesn't look like us. But is that really what's happening? Is that really the case? In this video, we'll find out if the statistics bear out what social media says. All right, guys, welcome to Black Statistics. My name is Dr. Sherman Rivers, and in this video, we're going to talk about interracial marriage. You know, we have all these stereotypes about who's marrying who, and you hear a lot about black men are leaving the black community and they're marrying white women. And then you see on social media, you see these conversations where black women are saying they're tired of putting up with black men's mess, so they're going to marry white men. But again, I wanted to see if the statistics mirrored the conversations that I saw happening. What I found out is that they didn't. This is pretty interesting. If these are the kind of things that interest you, you know, the statistical data, what's really going on within the black population, the black community, you may want to subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be putting out a lot of videos talking about topics like this. Now, who this channel's not for, if you like the drama, the entertainment, the excitement, what's going on with this star and what's going on in the news here, it's probably not the right channel for you. I mean, some of these things come into play, but this is not a channel about what Jay-Z and Beyonce is doing. Okay, I'm not really concerned about that. I'm just looking at the facts, the data, and statistics. So if you're looking for a little more excitement like that, you probably don't want to subscribe to the channel. There are tons of other YouTube channels out there. I'm sure they'd be happy to have you. I'd be happy to have you here if you're interested in hearing this type of information. So if you're interested or open, subscribe. If you're not really, don't subscribe, because all it does is hurt the algorithm. And I want to make content for people interested in hearing. So back to the topic. You know, there's a large misperception that there's so many black men that are marrying white women that it's actually reducing the rate at which black women get married or their ability to get married because all the black men are married out. Like you hear these statistics, you hear people say all the black men are either jail, they play both sides of the field, or they're married. Now, that's not the case. But that's what we hear. It's all over social media. So let's go through some numbers and see what the numbers really say about interracial marriage. Now, first up, it's important to say that black men, according to the data, black men marry white women at twice the rate that black women marry white men. So there's twice as many black men marrying white women as there are black women marrying white men. Now, before we move forward, I think it's important to say that you don't just grab somebody and marry them. You just can't run up to somebody and snatch them up and say you, and then you marry the person. The person has to want to marry you. So that statistic, twice as many black men marrying white women as there are black women marrying white men, there may be some more information buried beneath that. That's what I love about these statistics. They're not supposed to be the catch-all to answer all your questions definitively, but what it does is it gives you enough information to start asking more questions. And that's what it's really about, asking more questions. Is it just do black men just go out and pick who they want to marry and that's it, it's done? Or do the people that they want to marry have to pick them? And the same thing for a black woman. If she wants to go out and marry whoever she wants to marry, doesn't the person who she wants to marry have to want to marry her? So it's a two-way street. So there's more to that. But there are twice as many black men marrying white women as there are black women marrying white men. So let's go back to 2017. 2017, there were 15% of black men were married to non-black women. When I say non-black women, I'm not saying white women. I'm saying women who weren't black. So that was 15%. That number was up. It was 11% in 2010. So over a 7-year stretch, that number went up. Now, in terms of how many of these women were white, 3/5 of those women were white. So say that 15% number, you have 100 men. And out of that 100, 15 are married to non-black women. And of that 15, 9 of them would be married to a white woman. So when somebody's married out of the race, it doesn't necessarily mean, it's not just a black and white thing. You know, you have Asian, Hispanic, you have all these other different races involved in this. So it's not just a black and white thing. So you had 15% of the men, black men, married non-black women, and 3/5 of those, which is 9, were married to white women. So it's great to tap into other studies, other sources of information that can kind of shine a light on things. So the Pew Research Center released a report that said in 2013, 25% of black male newlyweds. So 25% of the black men who got married in 2013 married non-black women, and that was compared to 12% of the black women newlyweds. Now that study also noted at that point that those 12% of black women who married out, quote unquote married out, that Asian women and white women still have higher rates of marrying outside of their race than black women do. So that's just important to throw that in there too. We want the statistics, we want the facts. Facts are facts. You know, you can take them and skew them any way you want to. You can try to make a case for a point, specific points. You can align with statistics, right? You can take them and only say the parts that support your point and just leave out the rest. But I'm not here to do that. I just want to give you the facts, give you the data, give you the statistics, so you can formulate your own opinions, and it opens the door for conversations. We want to talk about this stuff, right? So let's talk about the real, not what we perceive as real, not what we think. Social media has a way of putting you in this tunnel. And then you start getting bombarded with the same message. It doesn't matter if the message is a lie. It doesn't matter if the information is inaccurate. It doesn't matter if it's dead wrong. You'll get more and more and more, and eventually you'll start believing it's true. Or the people around you will start believing it's true. So why don't we start with the real information? Let's just put it out there and talk about it. Not just what it is, but why it is what it is. Get any idea why those numbers look the way they do? Please let me know in the comment section. I would be interested in knowing some of your opinions as to why you think these numbers are coming out the way that they are. So here's a caveat. So if you had 25% of newlyweds in 2013, black men marrying non-black women, that's 2013, 25% are doing this. But if 4 years later in 2017, in 2017, there was a interracial marriage the rate was about black men 15%. So if you had that many getting married in 2013 and the numbers only 2015, only 15% in 2017, what does that tell you? And this is what I love about the data. What it tells you is that there was a drastic increase in marriages. Around that time, there was a drastic increase of black men marrying non-black women. And what that did was that pushed that number up to 15% in 2017. So had they not been having these marriages outside of or non-black women at that rate, that number in 2017 could have never got up to 15%. It'd have been a lot lower than that. So what changed? What changed that triggered the interracial marriage thing to go up? Is it culture? Is everybody getting along better now? Are you having more black people, more white people that seem to feel like a common upbringing, common environment, common socioeconomic status? What is it? What's driving that? If you have any ideas about that, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. But what do you think it is that's causing that number to go up? Is it just black men and black women not getting along? Do black women want to marry black men? Do black men want to marry black women? I think the answer to that question will shock you. Let's continue. Let's move forward. And then moving forward, we're going to talk about the black women, from the black women's perspective, or the black women's side as far as the numbers are concerned. We talked about black men. Let's talk about black women. Here's an interesting fact. Black women are the least likely to marry non-black men. According to the Pew Research study, that number was 7%. Here's an interesting fun fact. Of that 7%, only 4% were white men. Did you know that? So black women in 2017 married non-black men at a rate of 7%, and almost half of that were white men. So the other half, the other 3%, were Hispanics and Asians. Now, they married more white men than any of those other ones, but that whole 7% wasn't black women going out marrying white men, which is one of the things that you see a lot in social media, a lot on YouTube, the swirler community, things of that nature. It make it seem like the black women are just running out marrying white men left and right. And it goes back to my point earlier that I made, and this is not to take sides or anything. This is just asking questions to further the conversation. But you can't just go out and say, this is who I'm going to marry, you come here. It doesn't work that way. It's a two-way street. So that 7% number, what does that say? Does that mean that a smaller number of black women want to marry white men or Asian men or Hispanic men? Or does it say that these men from these other races, a smaller number of them want to marry black women? I think that's an interesting conversation. The overall number is what it is, but what's driving that number is what I want to know. What do you think? Anyhow, the bottom line is that when we think of black women marrying a non-black man, we tend to assume that the person that she married, the man that she married, is white. So it'll be interesting to see how that trend evolves going forward into the future. But I will say this, in 2018, black women were the only group that had a higher divorce rate than the marriage rate. Let me say that again. In 2018, black women were the only group that had a higher divorce rate than a marriage rate. So now, interestingly enough, at that time, there were nearly 31 divorces per 1,000 married women. 31 divorces per 1,000 married women aged 15 and older, and only 17.3 marriages per 1,000 unmarried women. So per 1,000 married women, there were 31 divorces, right? Per 1,000 married women, 31 divorces, but per 1,000 unmarried women, 17.3 marriages. So divorces here, marriages here. What is that going to look like going forward, going down the road? But ultimately, time will tell, but those are the numbers. This is how it really looks as far as interracial marriage is concerned. More black men marry non-black women than black women marry non-black men. But what are the reasons behind that? What are driving the numbers? I think that opens the door for some great conversations. But if you like the video, if you like some of the information that was in the video, you think it's shareable, please like it, share it. Let's have a conversation. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Once again, my name is Dr. Sherman Rivers, and this has been Black Statistics. Peace.